some of which are supported by our own intelligence and military establishments. You know, if we thought we in the West had some sort of a monopoly on standing up for democracy and standing up for ourselves, we got to rethink this. The Muslim world is teaching us some important lessons about standing up for democracy. And in a way, it started in Latin America, where over the last 10 years, 10 countries representing more than 80% of the population of South America put down brutal dictatorships and replaced them in a democratic process with enlightened presidents who are standing up to the exploitation that their people have endured for centuries. Things, yay for the Latin Americans. They are teaching us a great deal. Today, or yesterday, there were demonstrations in New York City against a state government that is trying to fire teachers while giving huge raises to the Wall Street robber barons. Demonstrations in New York, demonstrations in Michigan, demonstrations here. We are feeling it. This is a time of amazing change. And I think to talk a little bit about some of these prophecies, perhaps the one that's best known at this point in time, by us here in the United States at least, is the Mayan prophecy of 2012. And I take trips to the Mayans through Dream Change, a nonprofit organization that I founded, and with my co-facilitator, Lynn Roberts, every December, we take a group of people down to live with and work with Mayan shamans in Guatemala and do ceremony. And if you're interested in coming, we'd love to have you join us. You can go to the dreamchange.org website, or it's easier to remember perhaps my name, johnperkins.org, and get more information. I don't think our trip is up on johnperkins.org yet, but it will be tomorrow. So, and I'm recalling this last December being in Tikal, one of the oldest and largest of all the Mayan sites in Guatemala, and standing on top of the masked pyramid, this gigantic ancient pyramid built by this civilization more than 1,000 years ago, and standing up there and looking out at this vast jungle, which has reclaimed the civilization. And the Mayan people back then were people very much like us, who had this hierarchy. Their pyramids represented the hierarchy of rulers who somebody could tell I needed water. How did you know? Thank you so much. Excuse me. So this civilization that was dominated by this male hierarchy, sound familiar? A male hierarchy that was determined to drain the swamps and build up these vast cities that they benefited from, and most of the people were forced to support, didn't benefit from. And in the end, it all fell apart. And so I'm standing there late in the afternoon as the sun's setting over the jungle and thinking about the message that this civilization has for ours today. A message that is so important that we listen to for the sake of my grandson, my 3.5-year-old grandson, whose name is Grant. Because in a way, this is all about our future generations. What are we going to do to take care of them? And the Mayan prophecy of 2012 tells us that this is a time for the potential for transformation. None of the Mayan shamans that I know or work with tell us that this is a doomsday scenario. It could become that if we don't listen to the messages. But the messages are that we have entered a time with the opportunity for tremendous shape-shifting, for tremendous transformation. And this prophecy comes directly out of the Mayan Popol Vuh, their most sacred text. It's a book that is roughly equivalent to the Bible, say. The Popol Vuh tells a story of the hero twins who overthrew this ancient king whose name was Seven Macaw. Seven Macaw was characterized by tremendous brutality, selfishness, huge ego, deep materialism, exploitation of human beings and nature. The hero twins, who the shamans tell us represent us, the people, we the people, overthrew Seven Macaw and replaced him with a new leader, one Hunahpu, who was characterized by cooperation. Are you still hearing me? Okay, it actually sounds better, doesn't it? Thank you. By cooperation, by compassion, a new leadership that is about sustainability. It's about justice. And this ancient Mayan legend identified December 21st, 2012 as the time that would mark this point. The reason for that is from the Mayan perspective, that's when the sun enters what's called the Great Rift, or the center of the Milky Way. It's also a time, if you go to Tikal, or you go to one of these sacred sites, they have these ancient ball courts. At the end of the ball courts is a throne, a stone throne. That's where the shamans sat to watch the ball games. If you sit on that throne and you look straight down the ball court, right to the very end, on December 21st, 2012, that's exactly the spot where the sun will rise. Some of these ball courts are almost 2,000 years old. So 2,000 years ago, the Mayans were forecasting that on December 21st, 2012, something spectacular would happen. Now they tell us today that, of course, if you sit in that throne today, it'll look like the sun's rising in the same spot as it did 5 years ago, and it will 15 years from now. The sun's quite large. And also, the Milky Way, the sun has already entered the Great Rift. So they tell us today that there's nothing really special about that one day. It's not as though something's going to happen on December 21st, 2012. That's a marker. It's already begun. It's happening. You're part of it.